Good evening, good afternoon, whatever you're at, folks. This is Somebody's Listening Podcast. We're taking off. It is the apocalypse. A lot of people recording podcasts these days. Are any of them any good? Who knows? This is Somebody's Listening Podcast, and I know one of you stupid fucking cunts out there is going to make a joke. Somebody's listening. Huh? You should call it Nobody's Listening, because nobody listens. So I'm going to make that joke now to take it away from you, you stupid piece of shit. You think you're original? No. There's basically nothing in general that hasn't been said. There's very few combinations of words in the English language that are unique, and if you can come up with a new one, you're considered a genius. So every single sentence coming out of my mouth right now is a sentence that has been spoken before, probably by a man more intelligent than me, or a woman. Can't rule them out. What are we doing here? I started a podcast. Why would I do that? I'll tell you why. Because I am a stand-up comedian, a struggling amateur stand-up comedian, about 3 years in the great city of Boston, Massachusetts, where there are many other talented comedians. Not that I would consider myself too talented. And what do you know? What do you know? A fucking world-ending pandemic came. You're probably aware of it at this point. It's not rocket science exactly. So I have some way to just get my fucking thoughts out there to strangers. I actually thought of the title, Somebody's Listening Podcast, a while ago to sort of illustrate the struggle of a up-and-coming comedian where, often you're just in these bars and you're talking to someone who's like, you're just talking to a couple of people in the bar who are half drunk or whatever. Sometimes they're a lot more than half drunk, and you're just trying to get your jokes out there, and just being able to connect with like one person and have one person come up and tell you that they thought you were funny, and sometimes you're really lucky and they'll say that you made their day. That's kind of the central notion that keeps myself, and I would like to think a lot of people, going. So I came up with that title, Somebody's Listening, sort of a negate on the more nihilistic title of Nobody's Listening. So what are we dealing with here, folks? What are we dealing with? We got a pandemic, right? A lot of conspiracies around this pandemic. I'll go into those possibly later once we get our resident conspiracy expert on the line here, but for now, it just sucks. We're all stuck inside. Drug addicts are going to go into withdrawal. The National Guard is probably going to come in at a certain point and keep people in their houses. I've gone to Trader Joe's many times since they issued the shelter-in-place order. There's a Trader Joe's a mile away. I used to never go to it. Now, walking to Trader Joe's, buying groceries so I can cook food at home, that's all there is. That's literally the only activity that exists. We got the shelter-in-place order. You can walk to the store if you want. You can't even go to the park and sit on a bench here in Boston. It's 3 degrees out. It was fucking snowing, raining. It's almost like people weren't taking it seriously enough, so God just sent a bunch of snowy rain. Snow is great, by the way, but when it's snowy rain, the wintry mix, as they call it, wintry mix is way too whimsical of a term for literally the worst weather. It is snow with none of the mysticism and whimsical nature of snow. It just is sad and wet and cold. It is basically just very cold rain that appears to be snow, but turns into rain as soon as it makes contact with any object, whatever. I mean, everyone's buying toilet paper. That's great. Yeah. Yeah, we got a virus, What do you need? You need soup? You need Advil? Apparently, I think it's the neurovirus because they're all rushing out to buy toilet paper. And I noticed I was in Trader Joe's earlier today. All of the toilet paper was sold out, but they had plenty of wipes, folks. Plenty of wipes, folks. Fellas. Buy the wipes. You get cleaner, much cleaner than toilet paper. That shit's coarse. You get a wipe, folks. Plenty of them at the Trader Joe's in Somerville, Massachusetts. I'm sure a lot of, now you might be wondering, I don't want to wipe my ass like a girl. I just want to wipe my ass like a girl. That kind of thinking is why you're going to die. You're not going to survive this pandemic because you're holding on to these outdated notions that you need to put coarse paper in your butt. There's plenty of wipes, folks. Get the wipes. The Europeans had it right. They're doing bidets. I talked to my very strange French friend Calypso, that's a real name. She said, you're dumb. Put your ass in shower after shit. And I'm not going to do that because that's like a weird balancing act. You need a towel, you need everything. That's a little bit too much. But the bidets, it ain't a bad idea. I think we got our first caller coming in. Let me give him a buzz. Here we go. Should have had a faster way to do this. And we're in the middle of this whole thing. Everyone's worried. Everyone's worried about their grandparents. People are worried about themselves. You got diabetes. You got a low immune system. You're HIV positive. You don't think you're going to make it out of this one alive. And in the middle of all this, Tom Brady, beloved New England narcissistic sociopath, decides to make it all about him. Like, we're in the middle of fear, and he makes this message where he doesn't even acknowledge that there's a crisis going on. He makes it seem like, no, this will be the news story of the day. Not the fact that the death toll is about to break 10,000 at the time. Now we're up to 16,000 deaths. No, Tom fucking Brady decides, yeah, this is it. If this gets bad, there might not even be a football season. And he's talking about how he wants to go to Florida, which is, by the way, the worst state for the coronavirus. No one gives a shit. They need to cancel all the outgoing flights, lock up the border. They need Coast Guard, the entire coast. I don't want anyone swimming out of there, bringing the virus with them. You know, they're crafty. So there should be a warning. If anyone's trying to, like, escape, you know, Cuba or whatever and, you know, get to Florida, yeah, I know they travel by boat sometimes. Someone should tell them, don't do that. Don't do that. Florida's not a safe port of call. You will get the virus and possibly die. So Tom Brady, I don't know. I hate this guy. I know he's like very handsome, you know, it's like he's the guy everyone wants to sleep with. Every very, you know, aggressively straight guy in Boston is like, oh, I'm gay, but we got Tom Brady. Yeah, it's a great joke. It's very funny. You're the first person to say that, you stupid, stupid piece of shit. Take that. I hate it when people's entire wardrobe is just licensed Boston sports apparel. Like, you know, you go to TJ Maxx, get yourself a button down. We're going out to dinner. Don't wear that goofy, ill-fitting Bruins thing tonight, please. It's a classy place. They serve $13 cocktails. I'm just reminiscing about the old days when you could go to those kind of places. Tom Brady, you know, and he golfs with Trump. He's golfing with Trump. He's out there golfing with Trump. What is an 18? Oh, we got our first caller, a man who's definitely a fan of Tom Brady. Hey, 1 second, Chris. Let me just make sure you're getting recorded. All right, we got you on the air, my friend. You want to say something? Hi, Chris. How are you? All right, sorry about that, folks. We had a little technical difficulty, but it's all sorted. Mr. Chris Justice tried to call in, and he couldn't. So what's going on? What's a game of golf? Tom Brady's playing golf with Trump. What's a game? That's like 4 hours to do 18 holes. Is it more? Is it less? It's probably around that. So Tom Brady, what's he talking about with Trump for 4 hours? I mean, you gotta imagine they're talking exclusively about fucking underage girls. I can't really think of another subject they possibly would talk about. They got Tom Brady has got that like high, like if he was born in a different universe, he would have been a politician, but he happened to be good at football, so now he's doing football. But he does it like a politician. He's cheating left and right. Everyone in New England, they're brainwashed. They don't think they have the same doublethink as like those Hillary people that are still tweeting about her to this day, as if she wasn't just like the alternative to Trump and she was some kind of fucking savior. You know, they're acting like she's Martin Luther King up in this bitch. You know, whatever. Yeah, so I mean, Trump, he wouldn't kneel with the rest of those guys. They were kneeling, and I can only imagine that is because if you were kneeling on national television during the national anthem, you were not allowed on Jeffrey Epstein's island. That's all I can think of. And it makes sense, too, because, like, think about it. Tom Brady's wife has the same very masculine jawline that he does. And people always point this out. Why are they together? Is it the money? Probably partially the money. Well, first of all, there's that weird Leonardo da Vinci Mona Lisa thing. You know, you're attracted to the person with the similar face features. Find a picture of her without makeup. She's got the same jawline, same cheekbone structure as Tom Brady himself. But it doesn't matter, because he was having sex with the coolest girls at all the high schools that they stole and took down to that Epstein Island. Or a better island, you know. It doesn't necessarily have to be Jeffrey Epstein's. I feel like Jeffrey Epstein's island was kind of like the Knott's Berry Farm of pedophile islands. That's for my West Coast friends. For my East Coast friends, I'll say kind of like the Canopy Lake Park of pedophile islands. Like, there's definitely an assorted group of islands that were Six Flags tier. Okay, well, let's see how Chris Justice feels about this. All right. I think we got Chris Justice on the air, and we are recording. Chris, you are live on the pod.
Oh, man, I'm so excited right now. I'm shaking.
How do you feel? So I was just discussing with our many listeners that Tom Brady was most definitely a frequenter of Jeffrey Epstein's island, if not the island of, other people.
Okay.
And I was putting out there for the viewers that perhaps Epstein, his island was sort of like the Knott's Berry Farm or Canterbury Lake Park of pedophile islands. There are many superior Six Flags quality islands and, possibly a white whale Disney World of pedophile islands.
Or as we're all finding out right now, like many of the tigers in captivity in the United States, they have these private zoos. We have private pedophile islands, I guess. Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big thing. What's your take on Tom Brady deciding to hijack the narrative from the coronavirus and make it all about him with absolutely no self-awareness to the fact that people are panicking throughout the world?
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, let's face it, all athletes and celebrities in general are pretty narcissistic people. So that doesn't surprise me that he's tone deaf and only cares about his own free agent signing. But,
I mean, I guess you could also say that the celebrities who are talking about the coronavirus are also incredibly tone deaf.
Yeah, even like the people that thought they were helping with the cute little Imagine song. Like, I don't need to.
That's a song about they're singing a song about socialism from the comfort of private mansions.
Give it all up for the government. Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
What are they? They're not buying masks.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I love the one part.
They got acres of property.
You don't want to hear him sing the no possessions part. You never want to hear him sing that.
Well, they fucked up the lyrics multiple times. They might have skipped the no possessions line. I noticed like the rhythm was off. Like they definitely, I didn't remember specifically what they skipped, but they definitely fucked it up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for a good cover, but that was like bad karaoke at a dive bar. That wasn't good. That was terrible. I mean, it's just not necessary too. Go donate some money and time or what I mean. Showing yourself on Facebook.
Pretty
that's
easy
what we're for. That's what we're for. We don't need you to do that.
It's pretty easy to social distance when you have like 12 bedrooms and a lap pool on your property.
Yeah, right?
Like when the mailman has to like walk several, miles to even get to your door. I think it's pretty easy to social distance.
Hey, I'll say this much.
These guys aren't living in a studio.
No one cares about
East
anything
Boston.
else anymore. Like the weather, like there's no weather. No one cares about the weather and traffic. There's no traffic. You go watch the news, they're like, we don't have anything else.
Well, I was just sharing with our loyal viewers that I took a mile-long walk to Trader Joe's today in the worst possible New England weather, the wintry mix, which is a name I always have hated the wintry mix name because it's a very whimsical sounding name, and it's quite possibly the most depressing weather you can have.
It sounds like a new six-pack from Sam Adams. It's like
the Sam Adams wintry
mix.
Yeah,
it sounds like they're giving you the wintry
pack.
Mix pack. I don't know. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I'm all set with. What's going on there? You ever see any male weathermen anymore? It's all like you have to be like you have to be like a dime of a woman with huge tits to like even be a weather person. And if you see an ugly guy telling weather, he probably knows more about weather than anyone you've ever met. Like he is the best at weather. Like it's all hot women now.
I would imagine most meteorologists are not attractive because the scientists in general aren't particularly attractive. There's exceptions, obviously, both men and women. No, I think they just prop up attractive women. But I don't have cable, so I have no idea what's going on with weather people.
Right.
I think of weather as a very genderless thing because I just type weather on Google. And it just tells me the weather, it just gives me the...
Yeah, I'm day to day. I go day to day. I do the same thing. I just see what it is that morning. Like I said, no one cares anymore.
Immediately, I do two things in the morning. I look up the weather, and then I also Google pictures of attractive women. So maybe I should just watch the news, and I could put them together.
Yeah, no, honestly, just wait for the weather, man. The weather woman. I don't know. It's
the weather woman.
The weather women. I want to see a calendar. I want to see a calendar of the Fox 25 weather women. I'll tell you that one. It's fucking hot.
There's a studio in Assembly Square, and I believe my old roommate from years ago, his girlfriend was actually a weather woman in New England.
Oh, she had to be hot, man. Like they're not putting out. She was
very attractive.
Like every one of them's a dime. It's like Jesus Christ. I don't know. Seems like a lot of good-looking women are getting into weather. I don't know.
Maybe it's because you think wetness. I don't know. That's a dumb point of view. I don't fucking.
What else is up, man? How you doing? How you surviving without any shows or any contact with getting out there and just interacting with society on a night-to-night basis? I mean, how you doing?
I mean, at least I can get my psychotic thoughts out, hopefully, on this podcast, and maybe someone will find them funny. That's kind of the hope we got.
Yeah.
It's a long shot. I don't know. I mean, as I was saying before you came on, really the only activity there is to walk to Trader Joe's.
Right.
So I walk to Trader Joe's. I get some good exercise, getting some heavy groceries, and then walking a mile back.
Yeah.
I always buy a bunch of kombucha in the glass bottle. That adds up.
Yeah, doing kombucha
I think I fucked my
curls.
back up today. Yeah, well, my buddy, he makes his own, and I'm thinking this is starting to add up because I go to Trader Joe's a couple times a week. I get like 4 kombuchas. That's $12. It's starting to get like $30 a week. I think I need to start brewing.
Yeah, you might have
which
to.
is apparently not very hard.
It's crazy too.
How are you dealing?
People are out there like exercise. Like we went out the other day to go. We were gonna drive to Breakart, me and my family, to just walk around. And
I heard Breakart. You couldn't even
dude,
get in.
I was joking around like it's like the coronavirus 5K going on. It was like 1,000. I've never seen it more crowded. There were people parking like way down there, near Kelly's. It was. I'm like, if you have
I
to
think
park
people
down
know
here, you just don't go.
you're not going to be allowed.
Closed. You don't go that day. I mean, no one parks down there. Not even when there's no virus. I didn't get it.
Yeah, I believe my friend actually said he had to park around Kelly's around there.
Yeah, dude, it was crazy. I'm like, just don't go there. Like that's what we did. We're like, oh well, you don't come here today. Yeah.
Well, I think it's people are worried that you won't be able to have a nice hike pretty soon.
That's
they
true.
think military's going to come in, and that's curtains for hikes.
Nah.
Like I went on a run the other day. I went 9 miles, but I got a huge blister on my foot, so I'm out of the running. Not that I would have wanted to run today. It's fucking horrible. Horrible. I have friends on the West Coast trying to complain. They're like, oh, it's 55 degrees. It's so boring. I was like, dude, you're literally calling me from a lawn chair on your porch.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've had it pretty easy.
I think you have it better.
I mean, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. 55 is that, especially if I'm going to go for a run, 55, that's just perfect.
It absolutely is. Yeah, I don't...
I start to heat up. All right, so we got... people, I think they're going crazy.
Yep.
So here's some predictions I got. We got the drug addicts, right?
Yep.
They can't get their supply. I mean, I know they're probably sneaking over. If you're an addict, you're probably risking it on the T. Pretty soon, no T.
Right.
No bus, no train.
Right.
What are they going to steal a car? Are they going to raid the...
Crime's going to go
up. A lot
up.
of them might be out of work. They might raid the dealer. So we got that. We got that to worry about. We got the, I know, I sympathies for them. It's an unfortunate, epidemic on its own. But I think we might be seeing some negative side effects there. Now we got the people who are already suicidal. Now they're locked in their house.
Yep. Yeah, I see where you're going here. It's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, now we got the couples who, they developed a system of they go to work, they come home, they watch the Netflix, they cuddle together. And we got... now we got them. They have to spend 24 hours a day together. They're in a studio. Half of them are in a studio apartment. They're trying to find a place where they both can work. I saw this post on Twitter, and this guy was just fucking one of those like privileged, unself-aware fucks. He's like, I see a lot of people being like, oh, how much does it suck to be stuck with your boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever. And then he goes on this thread to talk about like all these tips about how it's healthy. It's healthy to communicate. You need private space. Like this guy obviously lived in the suburbs in like a house.
Right. Yeah.
Like we're not talking about you live in like a 1-bedroom apartment. You can't communicate that you need space. Someone goes in the bedroom, they can still hear the person in the living room.
Bro, I go down into my basement. I'll go down here to my office and I'll lay on the couch down there just to get away from my wife and kids. It's just you can't if you're in a 1-bedroom, that's just not an option. You know what I mean? It's just you're on top of each other at all times. So. But
it's a city. Well, some people are saying that maybe the suburbs will become more popular.
Maybe.
Stop.
My wife's a nurse, so I
city.
have a small business which is starting to like completely become crippled at this point. But I mean, my wife's a nurse, so she's working more than ever. So we're not really spending like all day with each other yet. So it hasn't. She's like one of the people that has to be at work. So in a way, it works out, I guess, for the marriage. For her health, I don't know. We'll see.
That's it. I know. Well, you guys
Me
got,
and my
you guys
kids
got
are getting
like
really
my
good at
aunt,
Monopoly. I'm teaching my kids capitalism at its finest. They're learning how to.
the teaching. Do you allow your kids to play, and yourself? Do you play the style where you can sort of make side deals and do
Oh
trades
hell
outside
yeah,
of the
yes.
context of
Well,
the game?
that is
Yeah,
how
because
we're
that's what my
doing it. And I've
buddy.
told them multiple times that we're playing pretty much basic how you play with, like, there's a lot of different rules most people don't even know. So we're playing pretty basic, but yeah, we're running side deals, and yeah, you have to
Yeah,
wait for
that's
your
my
turn.
buddy
At
in
least. You're not
college.
just able to
He
do
was
it
wicked into that.
like crazy, but
He would win every. He would win every game of Monopoly because he would always convince you that whatever you're doing was in your best interest. And even though you knew that he was going to win every game, he somehow would convince you that you were doing something in your best interest, and all of a sudden you were out.
Who was this?
And it's my buddy Robbie from. He's actually. I went to college in Texas, but coincidentally, one of the first people I met out there was from Hudson, New Hampshire.
Jesus,
So
good old Hudson.
he was one of those guys that made the side income, getting people to go to like the EDM shows. Just
Right.
hustle promoting and stuff like that. So he had that kind of mind.
What's
he
he
was a
doing
finance
now?
major.
What's this Robbie guy doing now? Let's get this kid involved in our next venture. I mean,
Hey,
sounds enterprising.
he lives in Dallas, I think. He works for some kind of he does finance shit. I don't know what the titles are.
Right.
He could be a hedge fund manager. He could be an accountant.
I want this guy
I
in
don't
charge
know
of my
what the hell
money.
they're doing up
I
there.
don't know. I like this guy already. Two quick stories about him, and I already love him. I don't know.
All right, I'll put you in. Maybe I'll have him on the next episode. We'll try to. I'll set up the three-way. It's this whole shit that I've been for the faithful listeners at home. This is actually my second attempt at recording an episode. First episode, I made a lot of mistakes, and all of the call-in audio was destroyed. So the track of me was fine, but there would be no audio.
Okay.
Of,
so there's still a chance
the
this could
people
just
who
all
called
be
in.
nothing at the end. This is just me and you having a conversation, basically.
Well, I'm monitoring it, so I know that everything you're saying is being picked
Oh,
up.
okay,
And
all
I know
right, that's
everything
good
I'm
then.
saying is
That's
being
a
picked
plus.
up.
I mean, you've learned.
I'm recording you on the laptop directly through the Google Voice, and I'm recording myself on my portable audio recorder. And I just bought a nice condenser microphone. Well, it's not that nice. It was.
So you weren't able to.
Do you know how much microphones cost? They're fucking expensive, aren't
What's
they?
that?
Microphones. They're up
Yeah.
there.
I mean, I didn't buy it. I think podcast ones like that are a lot more expensive too. Like just the stage one you can get for something cheap, but like something that
Well, the stage ones I was looking, they don't even come with cables.
Yeah,
and
no,
they're
that's
like
true. That's
they're like
true. They don't come with a
$100
cable or
minimum, and then like a
stand or-
nicer one is
Right.
I was able to get a deal on this, probably some off-brand. I was listening to the feedback. It definitely picks up some room audio that I might be able to tweak out, but I like it because it's got this big like hinge thing, so I can just like staple it to my
Yep.
clasp it to my desk, and then just I don't have to hold it, and I can do stuff on the laptop, go over my notes. It's all great. We're getting inside baseball here. How do we record the pod? How does anyone record it? How do ideas come to life? Oh my god!
Right.
When was the last time you got on stage? When was the last time? Do you remember?
Yeah, I was at the Cabot. It'll be 2 weeks tomorrow. It's 2 Wednesday.
What day of the week?
The Cabot.
It was a Tuesday.
It was a Wednesday. 2 weeks on.
Last
Tuesday,
time I got
yeah,
on-
Wednesday. Yeah, it was a Wednesday.
Yeah, so it must have been that Wednesday. I think was also the last time I got on stage. We went to the 7:30 Tavern. It was a booked show.
Yep.
And it ended up being a little bit overbooked. And then so few audience members showed up, presumably due to the virus.
Right.
That because that show usually draws a good audience. So it was curtains there.
Yep.
And then we went over to Sterling's new mic. Sterling. Shout out to Sterling.
Yeah.
Staple of the Boston scene. She's had a mixed mic, so we waited a little while to go up because there's all these musicians and stuff. But then once she got up, it was me and Jeff Metoff. Shout out to Jeff
Awesome.
Metoff.
Yeah, that guy's a
very
funny
few of you
bastard,
guys
man.
know
I
who
like
that
that
is,
guy.
but
Yeah, he's funny as hell.
so yeah, we got to go up. We got to do like 8 minutes of material, and it was all those musicians in the audience. So it was fun. It was fun. I was happy.
Right.
I was like, it was one of those days where I was just like, I was goofing around. I was trying new stuff that I'd be normally, a little apprehensive about trying, but I was in a good mood, and you kind of rocked that momentum.
Yep.
It was fun. It was a good memory to have be for a very long time. Gonna be my last.
Yeah,
time
no, that's
on
true.
stage,
Yeah, no,
unfortunately.
I had a good set. I've been listening to it too. I had a pretty good set at the Cabot. So it's funny too. One of the last times
Yeah.
I got out before that, I had saw Sterling judged me on some like little mini competition. So I happened to see Sterling like a
Ah.
couple weeks ago. So, But
That's funny.
yeah, that is good. But yeah, the last few times I've been out, I had great, like there were great crowds too. Even though like the coronavirus was getting closer and closer to us. Even the Cabot that night, Kelly Maston, let's throw her a shout out. She had a ton of people in there. It seemed like that was a night where like people were starting to worry if there would be anyone out, and she had a lot of people in the crowd that night. So it was a good room, and that was the last time I
did for the first time. Long overdue. I did McGreevy's.
Oh, okay, yeah, I definitely done that once myself.
And that was the Monday of that week, and there were just a lot of people in the audience, and it was a good, you call it a fair crowd when they weren't over the top with the laughs, but they,
Yep.
If you had a good joke, they would laugh, and if your joke was okay, then they would let you know.
Right.
But they were, and we were all making jokes about like, should we be shaking hands with the host? Should we whatever? And then I think it was basically. It all escalated fast. It was like some people were afraid, but we weren't taking it too seriously on that Monday.
Yeah.
Then on Wednesday, it was like, maybe this is serious. And then I remember I performed on Wednesday, and then I found out about people performing that Friday. And I was like, are you guys nuts?
Right. Yeah, no, by Friday, I went out Wednesday,
doing?
And by Friday, I was like, these people are insane. What idiots, Yeah, exactly. So, you change your tune in 48 hours.
So, thankfully, another thing I'm happy about is that the Saturday before everything went to shit, my buddy, who I hadn't seen in a while, hit me up. He came over. We went to the bar down the street from me, Tavern at the End of the World.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone is familiar with that staple of Charlestown, Somerville line.
I drink there all the time.
Tavern at the End of the World.
UPS days, oh, yeah.
We looked around, we only elbow bumped. We were keeping the rules. There was only 20 people in there, so it wasn't a high risk. We got to sit at the bar. We got to have drinks. We had fun.
Yeah, that is good.
And, then I found out right after that the days of hanging out at a bar were going to be gone for quite some time.
Right. Yeah, it sucks, man.
So at least I got that last experience.
I've been letting my kids drink just so I have a drinking buddy. So it's just like wait till my wife goes to bed.
How old are your kids?
A couple shots. We're good.
How old are your kids?
11 and 15. They're getting there already. They might be doing it already. Who knows, Be buying.
The 15-year-old.
Yeah, I'll be buying drugs from her.
11 seems a little young. When I was 11, I thought marijuana and heroin were the same thing.
Oh yeah. Oh, but I mean, no doubt about it. I'm telling my kids it is still. So they don't know.
Well, I guess it's a little bit different now too, because it's marijuana is significantly less stigmatized than it was even 15 years ago when I was 11.
Yeah, we live to be on the right side of history there. I mean, let's face it. I mean.
Yeah.
So.
It's pretty crazy. Someone your age had to live a much longer time with it being a thing you could go to jail for.
Right. I still don't go to a dispensary. I still go to buy it from the same kid I have to. I mean, that just shows I don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, me too.
I don't understand.
Well, I got a guy, and he'll sell the flour, he'll sell the edibles, he'll sell the cartridges. So he's got all the dispensary stuff. It's just like, why do I want to pay more? And it's just there's only one. It's difficult to get to from where I happen to live. It's not like I was in California recently, and it's every 10 feet up there.
Yeah, no, it'll get like that eventually.
It's like going to a CVS or a Walgreens.
I think it's funny that they legalized weed all across the country, and now there's like a in the nation at the same time. What the hell are they doing to us here? I mean, fucking all choking to death. I'm scared to go outside right now.
Well, now we got Baker deemed medical marijuana to be, I think the recreational place might have to close, but medical marijuana was deemed an essential business by Governor Charlie Baker here in the great state of Massachusetts.
Yeah, I don't listen to anything that guy. That guy was standing on a stage with 3 other people today that were right next to him, and he was telling us don't go in a room full of reporters. I don't understand how they... It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand what they like. Every politician in Washington is in the demographic to die if they catch this. Yet they're all out every day with a bunch of people around them, no mask on, still wearing a suit. Like they're putting a tie on every day. Like, just wear a dress shirt. Like, what are you're still putting a tie on? Like, seriously? I don't know. I feel like it's.
Yeah, and
what do they know that I don't know? Like, why are you still going out? You should be doing this from a bunker. I want to see you like in a bunker somewhere. I don't want to see you with a tie on and a suit jacket. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I would love for all my enemies to be trapped in a bunker.
Oh, of course. Of course. With a couple of those tigers from fucking Tiger King. I just can't get enough of that guy, man. You watched that yet? The Tiger?
I haven't watched it yet, but I have so do you think Netflix was holding on to just the ultimate, like, what the fuck content. Because
Right?
I've heard about what it is, and it's truly a mind-blowing thing, and I'm going to have to watch it. Do you think they were just holding on to, like, if there's ever a situation where people are stuck inside, we need something that is just the most mind-blowing documentary content
dude,
that we can release?
I'll tell you, all streaming services right now, fucking just like porn to them, though, this virus, you know, so... People are ripping.
You know how bad it's.
People are just. I said to my wife the other day, I'm like, we were ahead of the curve on that Tiger King like by 3 days. You know, like I was proud of myself. I saw it before the wave of people. I was like, so.
I had 3 different people just out of nowhere text me and say, "Have you watched the Tiger King yet?" And I don't even, I don't have that many friends. People don't generally go out of their way to just text me shit.
Right.
So
yeah, dude,
that's
that
how good it must be.
Man, oh my God! It's just I didn't realize there was such a problem with tigers in this country, but. I don't live below West Virginia.
Either, he's just stocked up on guns. He's gonna get into a shit fight with PETA.
What's that?
Well, he's stocked up on guns in case PETA tries
to. There's so much going on there. It's amazing.
The PETA people are pretty fucking insane.
Yeah, no,
too.
there's no this is the one thing you hate everyone, and then they have an enemy. You're like, all right, well, I'll probably take this guy's side because this guy's his enemy, and then you're like, I think I like the other guy better. Like, you can't find someone that you hate enough.
I gotta watch
everyone
the show.
You hate. Like, it's like, it's insane. Like, there's no good people in it.
I'm now on, I had never seen Curb Your Enthusiasm before, but I'm the biggest Seinfeld fan. I've seen,
wow, dude, it's a great one.
I'm not the biggest, but I've watched every episode of Seinfeld at least 4 times, and probably more for a lot of them.
You'll love Curb. You'll be like, oh, this is beautiful. Like, it's exactly what you're looking for.
Well, now I'm already in season 3, and it starts a little slow, and it just gets so good. Now I'm in it. It's just like we'll watch it for like 4 or so hours at a time if I'm not doing anything.
Right.
It's so fun, and it's got like a combination of the Seinfeld sense of humor with the Office's just dry play out stuff.
Well, you can almost see like Larry. You can see almost every character at different times of Seinfeld in him. Like at times, he'll be doing something like, "Oh my God, that's George." You're like, so
sometimes he's like Jerry, and sometimes he's like George, especially. So, you can see both of those really.
See that documentary on Netflix called "The Long Shot" by any chance?
No, see, I'm not a big doc guy like everyone else is. Right. I think the only doc I really watched was the Fyre Festival.
Watch that one. It's only like, honestly, it's a quick one. It's not one of these ones that makes you watch 12 episodes. It's like it's just over an hour.
That's the other thing is documentary used to mean movie, and now it means like series.
Right now it means I gotta give you a weekend of my time. I just want to watch one.
It's got to be you got to watch 4 parts.
Right. So
sometimes even more.
But yeah, it's about basically the quick overview is with murder, and he remembered that they were filming a Larry David episode at a Dodger game that he was at the day they were accused. So it's like them trying to piece together if he was at the game or not by going through. It's pretty good, man. You got to see it. But Larry David's is funny. Interesting. It's good. So
let me ask you this: what have you been doing? And we might get Giampapa calling in pretty soon. Let me just double check this. Okay, cool. Okay. So, what have you been doing to stay comedic, other than calling to this great podcast during your uncomedic time?
I've been re-listening to a lot of my sets. I listen to a lot of other comedy too. I watch.
That's good.
I've only done a little bit of writing. I've rewritten a couple of my jokes, couple tags, but mostly. I like to listen to my stuff over and over. I do it better that way than writing it. So sometimes I'll rewrite something so I can like memorize it and then record it that way. But I usually don't like to write it. I'd rather record it my voice and then listen that way. So.
Yeah. Now, one of the first Goldman tips was, and a lot of these are useful, and a lot of these, they just might not play to your writing style. He has obviously his own, but one of them was to listen to your recordings, transcribe them, literally transcribe either by hand or typing, and make notes and try to add things, stuff like that.
That's kind of what I do a little bit.
Not be a bad time to do
that. But yeah, that's what I'll rewrite something exactly how I want to say it.
That's insanely granular what he advises.
And then I'll re-say it so I can listen to it the way I wrote it again. So yeah, so I kind of do that, but I don't like to just stick to I don't know. It's weird. I'm not much of a writer. So.
Yeah. Well, I think you should make some kind of notes.
I have books.
I listened to this 10-minute recording. What did I fuck up?
It's written so no one else could ever understand it if I get caught by the Russian,
Yeah.
What's going on in the comedy world? There was all types of drama last night, wasn't it?
Well, I don't want to discuss fucking lowly. Someone will fucking listen to this. My uncle from Tampa will listen to this, and they'll have no idea who the fuck any of these people we're talking about are. So I don't know. But I will say that now that everyone's stuck at home, and obviously you always talk more shit when you're on Facebook or whatever than you normally do. But this decorum of like, he runs a bar show that's decent. That'll be nice to him. Now I think that's out the window, and it's just like, fuck you.
Right. No, I hear you. Yeah, I try to be somewhat friendly to people. You know what I mean? I don't know a lot of I'm old enough to be like an old uncle to most of these comedians. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. Well, the problem is I'm now on social media so often that it's clearly melting my brain. I'm saying a bunch of nonsense.
Right.
I'm replying to way too many people's shit.
Right.
Especially on Twitter, where like people I don't even know come up in the feed because that's just how Twitter works, and then I'll like respond to them, and it's like I fucking added, came at this girl for saying that Aries not being able to celebrate their birthdays is gonna be a big deal, and I'm born on April 1st, and I was like, actually, I never celebrate my birthday. You don't represent me, and I was like, what the fuck are you even? I don't recognize the man in the front-facing mirror, front-facing camera. I just fucked up my own great joke.
No, I mean, people, I don't know. People are losing it, man. They're staring at themselves too much into that TV. So,
wait, hold on.
Like you said, we're all melting our brains. So,
hold on one second.
Sure.
So we're getting Alex Giampapa on the phone. I gotta get my my Google Voice number squared away. All right, Mr. Justice, I think we gotta let you go.
All right, now let's make way for the next act. I appreciate you having me on. Thank you so much for calling in. Anytime, I would love to.
We're gonna be doing a shitload of these episodes, so we'll have you on. All right, thank you so much, my friend, and stay safe.
All right, you too, brother. Wash your hands. Peace.
I will. Thank you. All righty, folks. That was Chris Justice. You can listen to him on Breaking Balls. Breaking Balls. I don't know if they have a website. There's no way they got breakingballs.com. Look up Breaking Balls on Facebook. You'll see a bunch of people with Boston accents. You'll know it's them. Him and his buddy Timothy McClaskey. What are we talking about? I'm very excited. It appears we're having some technical difficulty. Happens, Zoom. We're on Zoom at work. We're trying to do a Zoom meeting. Didn't fucking work because everyone's Zooming. Everyone is on Zoom. Everyone's on high five. Honestly, I think Netflix might go down. I don't know if Google Voice will go down either. All right. Ooh, I'm excited.
Call from.
We got
Alex Giampapa.
Hello. You're on the air.
Hello, sir.
Can you hear me? We got it. We got it good.
We did it. We're going to have to get used to this technology stuff.
Yeah, well, honestly, here's what happened. I already said this before, but I recorded an entire episode this way with I'm recording into my podcast recorder, and then I got the laptop with the Google Voice, and that's the other track. Yep. And I recorded an entire episode, and the phone track got completely corrupted, and it was unusable.
Oh man, editing podcasts is very fun. It's the whole reason I got into comedy.
Yeah. I mean, I actually got into comedy to brush up on my Photoshop skills. And whatever the fuck that giant complicated menu is if you actually try to pay to advertise something on Facebook.
Yeah, that's the weird extra skills I've picked up from being a stand-up comedian suck. It's all stuff that you imagined other people would do, but oh no, it's mostly us. But it'll come in handy for, all the unemployed comedians who thought that expressing themselves in a fun way would provide them with a living.
Well, it's one of those things where Photoshop has gotten a lot easier to use. I caved and got Premiere on a monthly subscription recently. Yep. So now it's like you better produce some content so that those videos, so that you're not just wasting money.
Yeah, and then the second you get, you get good with any of these programs, they come up with a way to do it way more fucking easily. Like there are people that went to college for video editing. Yeah,
for sure. But this is also you go to college for video editing, you will hopefully have the necessary set of skills to edit a feature film that could be, you know, shown at the very least a film festival versus, you know, putting subtitles on a clip of stand-up.
Hopefully.
Or that thing, they seem to be doing this a lot recently, is that it'll be on Instagram and they'll cut little pieces of downtime to increase the pacing. But you can tell because they're not really hidden cuts.
Yeah.
Like it's a little bit fast-paced.
Yeah, I saw one guy post clips where he cuts the laughs out, which is a noble thing, which is like really, you know, which is really nice, but then you also never know what the reaction to the joke was, which is very strange to me. Yeah, people, the cutting away during a stand-up clip is supposed to be a no-no. Bill Burr talked about this a little bit when he was recording his last special. He said he wanted as many long cuts as possible because it's more immersive. Where, like, if you're a stand-up and you watch a stand-up special and they cut away a bunch of times, you know the comic is fucking up the bit somehow. Like, if they have to cut to the audience a bunch or even just a bunch of weird quick ones, that means it probably didn't go that well.
Yeah, and you also know it's public knowledge if a person recorded their special over the course of, like, 2 or more nights.
Yes.
And, you know, then there's a lot of cuts, and you can kind of figure out what happened there.
Yeah, that makes sense. Although
I really like the way Schultz produces his stuff because he's basically doing 2 cameras, occasionally shows the audience, but he seems like he tries to avoid that.
Yeah.
And he's, you know, that's now considered what's reinventing the good stand-up special for web and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, he's the truth is he can do that because he's a fucking monster of a comedian. He is right there with, you know, greats that we have established. He's just in it. There's a certain point where you're a legend and everything you do is great, but there's also this little amount of time where you're like in your prime. And the couple times I've gotten to see him, that's kind of what he feels like. I think he and Tim Dillon understand what's going on in stand-up comedy right now, and kind of no one else is really hitting the mark.
Tim Dillon is the person who is the most getting me through this horrible quarantine. Like, I caved and got the $5 a month to his Patreon.
Yeah.
It's like, why not?
It's worth it.
Get 2 extra episodes a week, you know?
Yeah.
And he's very on the ball with this whole thing.
He is.
You know?
He's one of the keys for comedy. Like, the reason that it doesn't age well is because so much of it is contextual, right? So, like, it's all about a certain feeling at that time and the connection you make with the people during that time. And a lot of comedians don't know how to do that in the midst of a pandemic, but Tim Dillon has been acting like it's the middle of a fucking pandemic for the last 2 years. So, like, it's just par for the course with him.
And it's like his whole theme, like it's in the description of his podcast and has been for a while, is like, you know, watch the end of the world with Tim Dillon. So now for him, it's like his eyes lit up. He's like, oh, we got like a world-ending event. This is our time. This is what we've been waiting for. This is the perfect. And he's probably gotten so many more Patreon people just because it's like, I love Tim. He's incredibly on point about this apocalypse thing. Let's hear 2 more episodes a week.
Yeah. No, a comic hit me up today, and he was just asking about everything going on, and I was like, Tim Dillon is actually the number one guy I can refer this guy to. You know, like he is successfully nailing, you know, hey, I'm going to inform you like a little bit, and I'm just going to entertain you the rest of the time.
Yeah.
He's a gift right now. He really is.
And he's got that little back and forth with his producer where it's like, you know, that kind of grounds it to knowing like he's being completely facetious right now because he's making the producer laugh.
Yeah.
Ben.
The giggles from that guy Ben. They're really good.
Yeah. Kind of like a laugh track, just to because sometimes he goes so far off the reservation that guy gets like you can see fear in his eyes.
Oh yeah.
But that's also part of the charm.
Yeah. Well.
So you're not letting this slow you down. This I mean, obviously it's slowing everyone down to a certain extent, but you're ramping up your content production.
Yeah, man. I'm lucky because I was already sort of pivoting toward doing more online stuff anyway, because you reach a certain point in stand-up where you're able to do a lot of good spots, and you're able to work at good clubs and so forth. But in order to really take the next level, they want you to be famous, and they want you to, somehow bring a bunch of people in to watch you do stand-up. And so once you feel you've developed the skill, then you really have to start reaching people. And you have comics that complain, and there always will be. And you have a lot, especially older comics, who complain that, whether it's they hate all the white guys, or you can't say anything anymore. Excuses, because this is truly the easiest time to be a comedian in the world, and the best time, because you are able to have your own channel. There's no gatekeeper anymore. They exist.
There's There's no working for free because only one club has the TV executives.
Right, exactly. They don't have you pigeonholed at all in the same way, and you have a chance every minute of every day to get out there and make it happen for yourself. And granted, there's a mountain of work ahead of you, but once that happens, then you're better off. And I do think it's a shame that a lot of comics haven't embraced it and are averse to it, because they're very funny, talented, and interesting people. No one knows. There's 200 people in New England that have heard of them. So what's the point? So I'm fortunate in that I just started up a podcast, and I was really trying to lean more into, posting jokes online and so forth in the last couple of months, and now stand-up comedy is illegal.
And you went hella viral on Twitter.
Yeah.
Well, it started on Twitter and expanded several platforms.
Yeah, it was a tweet that I posted on Instagram, and then someone snagged it and put it on Facebook. And the thing is, these things, they circulate in a way that is, for a short period of time, trackable by you, and then very quickly just out in the fucking zeitgeist. It is absurd.
It's too much.
Dana J. Bine has a tweet that is...
Oh, yeah, that was a big one.
Yeah.
You got Khloe Kardashian on the...
Yeah. He way out there. I was joking that mine felt like the Fish Dicks episode of South Park, where the whole world is weirdly obsessed with one joke. But Dana J. Bynes is really like that.
He's got to be at over 30 million impressions. The last time he gave an update was several days ago, and he was at 24 million impressions.
Yeah,
so he's got to be at far more.
It's crazy, and well deserved from that dude.
Yeah, he went into it. Here's the thing, though, that I'm noticing about this apocalyptic, and this is totally, you can't deny that this has happened. No one gave a fuck about song parodies 2 weeks ago. No one did song parodies. Not since 2007 were song parodies a thing. We all got locked in, and now I've heard and been responsible for about, 18 song parodies. Yeah. And, and Dana, he went absolutely on fire with his song parody, but there's other people who are just putting out a lot of song parodies. I don't know how to play an instrument, so I haven't done a nice version of any of the ones I've talked about. I just put poorly recorded, no music background videos on Instagram. It's more just because it's I haven't posted anything in a day. I'm just gonna say this stupid thing.
Yeah. I also did one.
This seems to be a sign of chaos in the comedy community, though, that we're all doing song parodies now.
I do think it's very it's kind of fucking funny to watch so many stand-ups, especially just stand-up purists, who had this very weird idea that not participating in social individualism somehow, and now they have to pivot to doing virtual open mics. I don't even know what the fuck.
Oh yeah, no, those are. I did. There was this channel, I guess it's a podcast that has a good base, Old Dirty Boston. I saw that Will Noonan was on it, so I joined it, and it was basically a mic. They just let anyone go up in the order that they requested. And I felt psychotic. I don't know if you've heard this, but I have a bit about running into a neo-Nazi on the train. So I was just in my living room screaming, neo-Nazi rhetoric as part of the joke at my phone. There was no actual, real, tangible connection. I just felt like a psychopath, and it wasn't fun.
Yeah.
And like they did like an exit interview about like, how was it, and that part was cool, and they were cool. They were pretty funny.
Yeah.
But the actual act of trying to, and then people are saying, "Oh, you should do my virtual open. Well, mine's better." I'm like, I think, I want to kind of work on a pilot or something.
Yeah, it's the audience response is such an integral part of stand-up. It's really crazy to do it without it, and like, so you need the real-time feedback. And I know that in a Zoom chat, it's not quite. Well, are you hearing any feedback when you're doing the jokes? Like, are you hearing?
I think I got the two people who was like on the other end, the hosts.
Right.
I got them to chuckle a few times.
Yeah.
But even the chuckle is sort of asynchronous,
Yeah.
You don't feel the vibrations of it traveling through the room and like through your body.
Yeah.
When you're in like say you're in McGreevy's and it's full, and like that's like a small room with a good fill, and you just have that joke that the punchline hits perfectly, and then you kind of feel it in your bones because it's actual vibrations.
Yeah. It's a.
You don't really get that.
Yeah, it's a real physiological sensation that your body gets used to. It naturally recognizes better ways to produce more laughter over time because you're essentially addicted to this feeling, and you start to know.
It's definitely a sickness that we cut everyone off their supply, and now everyone's freaking the fuck out.
Oh, big time, man! It's I like. Yesterday I was like, I don't think I've had fun in like 2 weeks. Like I don't, just like giggling with a bunch of people. The idea that I wouldn't be doing stand up for some period of time seemed alien to. But much more so is just it not existing. Like, not only am I not doing it, it's coming to terms with the fact that no one is doing it. It can't be done right now. And granted, you have people doing fucking like basement parties and shit, but they just are just gonna be dead in like 3 weeks.
That's a little bit, with everything that's going on, that's just too much of a risk just to get your fill. That's like sharing needles. That's how I would compare it to.
Yeah, Imagine going to the pandemic show, like risking your life and then just bombing. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Because everyone's just drunk and waiting to go up because it's probably only comics that you got down there. Anyway.
Yeah, dude, for real.
So how long are you? You're about 10 years in?
Yeah, I was gonna hit 9 years in July.
July would be 9. Okay.
Yeah.
So, what do you think is the longest you've ever gone without performing in those 9 years?
Well, I was trying to remember the last time I didn't do stand-up right before all of these quarantines and so forth started happening. I was like, I don't know the last time I went a week without doing stand-up. But in my first year, I took off like fucking probably like 6 months after the first time I bombed. I essentially quit. So you can call it, 7 years if you want. I don't really give a shit at this point. But I went up my first time and did well. And then my second time I did like fine. And then the third time I bombed so bad. I'll never forget this. There was literally a woman sitting up front who, like, not only was she not laughing, she was shaking her head at me. Like, looking at me and just shaking her head. And I was like...
The stink eye.
Yeah, and I was like, stand-up fucking sucks. I was 19, and I was really, really freaked out at the idea that, that could happen. And then eventually I was like, it's kind of good that could happen, because then, it's a meritocracy. It's the closest thing you have to something being fair, is comedy. So it's funny, they laugh at it, it's not, they don't. So I kind of embraced it after a while, but, for me it was devastating. But after that, I was in it. I was at least getting up 3-4 times a week, and that's been, basically my whole young adult life.
Yeah, I started in November of 2017, so I'm about a year and a half, and I had tried it assorted times in years past that I don't count particularly because the gaps were just too long and the frequency was so low. But since my official start 2.5 years ago, I don't think I've gone more than 10 days. So this is a sudden withdrawal for sure, as it is for most people.
Yeah, no, it is.
I mean, you got way more years that you got to withdraw from now.
Huh?
I mean, you got way more years than me that you got to withdraw from, as well as you just do frequency of performing is up due to the opportunities.
Yeah.
So
It
sucks more for you and a lot of people.
It is. At the same time, I'm also like, I'm confident enough in my ability to do stand-up now that when it does come back about, be that like a year from now, I have no fucking idea, then I feel okay jumping back into it. I have tapes of me doing an hour. I have, I have the resources around me, and I'll remember it in my body. It's just sort of like,
sure.
And I know my voice and stuff, but, it's just surreal to see. Economically, it's crazy to watch comics a million times more experienced than me really be unable to do anything. I'm sure that they're smart enough and adept enough to figure out how to start broadcasting themselves a little bit, through podcasts, what have you. But just in general, man, you have these guys that have been doing it for literally 50 years that just can't right now, which is a real shame.
Yeah, I got on Will Noonan's Patreon, especially he's been a big help to me in my budding career.
Me as well. Will is
he's
one of those guys
for a
that
while.
will give you the fucking time of day and help you out. I love Will.
Yeah, what I notice a lot about won't name any names, but certain people in the scene who are just kind of definitely above me, like they're opening for whoever.
Yeah.
They're maybe running a very successful bar show. Yeah. A lot of those people can be like dicks who, act like they're on this pedestal. But then when you get to the level of like the Will Noonan, Orlando Baxter, Corey Rodriguez, they're some of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
Yeah, because that's how you actually.
And there's people who are actually doing this.
That's how you get to an actually viable level as a stand-up, where petty shit, people really have no patience for it, and it's a stupid, immature thing to do. So you have people that exist within a comedy scene, and they treat it kind of like a social scene, and they get to be the cool kids at the table, and they don't invite you to their show, and all of this shit. But all of the energy that these people spend doing shit like that is time you could spend making your comedy better, and it shows. When these guys are standalone, independent headliners, like all the people you named, and there are a few more out there. They've really committed themselves to their craft, and they've also learned that, they've existed within the industry for so long. They know that you might as well just be nice to anyone, because 4 years from now, that open micer you were a dick to might be fucking knocking shows down left and right. You really have no idea who's going to become what. You don't judge someone when they're a year into comedy. That's insane. John Tobin has said to me he waits fucking 10 years. And I was like, good. Because you really, the further in you get, my experience anyway, the less you know. The whole thing is so vast. So anyone pretending.
Well, there's what's the name of it? The Dunning-Kruger effect, I think.
Yes.
Is that you're confident in the beginning because you know nothing, and then you know enough to realize that you actually really don't know nothing, and then eventually you start to build your way up to confidence again.
Yeah, you're the shit in your local scene, and you're doing great in every room in whatever town you're from, and then you move somewhere else. And like when I moved to New York, dude, on a regular basis, I see guys at mics. I'm like, holy fucking shit, this guy's a G. Who is this? Guys doing check spots that are just brilliant material, and so it really starts to show you. There's so many other people to worry about. You really can't do it, be it in a positive way or a negative way. Take care of yourself. You have your time on stage, and use that. That's all you have. And now you don't. But
it is kind of an individual sport, I guess, at the end of the day. But there's a collaborative.
It is, but then also
you gotta work
the only way you're going to make it is by having peers. And most of the best comedians, one of them kind of popped off, and then their buddy opened for them. I mean, look at the crew of Rogan and Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer and all these guys. They mention each other in their specials. They're all guests on each other's podcasts. They essentially share a fan base, but it's so massive that it works out.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the Sober October thing is almost like a podcast Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just all four of them together, and they're doing this big challenge. And that actually, I've done Sober October twice, and the sort of accountability of these very public figures doing it helped me, being able to listen to the podcast and see how they're handling it while I'm like itching for a beer or smoke a joint.
Yeah, man. It's
nice.
It was a productive thing that they did, and people can shit on it or whatever, but yeah, it's they're smart marketers, and they're also having fun with it, which is like the most important thing. When you're like, oh, these guys just hang out with their buddies and like crack jokes, and that's their job. It's really an incredible thing, and because
Rogan's kind of evolved into something else now. Like, he's a comedian, but many of the episodes of his very successful podcast are serious in nature. He has real people, politicians and scientists and whoever, talking about very real issues.
Yeah.
Then he'll also have Tim Dillon on, and it will be one of the best episodes of the year.
Yeah. It's weird because I keep making this argument, and people don't really. They get mad when I make it, but they don't have much to refute it with. I keep saying Joe Rogan might be the best source of information in a mainstream sense right now for Americans. Because,
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, he
I know some people who get incredibly pissed off if you say something like that, but
yeah, I mean, it sounds absurd, and it sounds juvenile in every single way. But the reality of the situation is, no one else had Edward Snowden on this year. No one else.
Yeah, he was on Seth Meyers, I think.
Oh, really?
He was definitely on one more mainstream thing, and he was broadcasting the same way. I mean, it wasn't anything like the 2-hour appearance he had on Joe Rogan, or however long that was. But yeah, it's because you don't get to just hear Snowden talk at length. He's got a somewhat endearing, dorky sense of humor.
Yeah.
He's a very intelligent guy. No one ever said he wasn't.
No, it was good to see, and it's just someone being able to communicate in a long-form sense makes listeners more intelligent. Like, you have this hypodermic needle theory in mass media where, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, they believe they can tell you an opinion in a minute, and you'll absorb that and live with it. And a lot of people will, but that's not enough for a lot of people, and they look further, and so Rogan is there. That's very good. And so you have more intelligent citizens. And overall, I think that's a really good thing. And it's helping a lot of people wake up, be it just him or podcasts in general. It's doing a lot to the human psyche as a whole.
And no one is trying to say that he's like, he himself is the smartest guy and that he himself is the source of information. It's more like he's good at getting people on and stimulating a real conversation with them.
Yeah.
That's not, him having Bernie Sanders on versus trying to watch these like short clips with Bernie Sanders. You can't really compare it.
Yeah, it's and Rogan's also like, he's just smart enough where he can understand sort of what they're saying and then translate it for real dummies, for real dumb guys, like Joe Rogan fans, like guys that are like they order all the Onnit stuff and so forth, and they have kettlebells and they use like mushroom creatine.
There was a fantastic tweet I saw that was like, the government is listening to, or is Rogan, the government is listening to us? Snowden, yes. Guy powerlifting at Planet Fitness. Wow, that's fucked. I was like, yeah, that kind of sums up probably what a lot of the fans are like. But
yeah. But
it's a weird thing because it's like I don't like to be super open about the fact that I listen to a lot of episodes of that show because it can be, especially just certain people in the comedy scene here, it can be so inflammatory.
I mean, I disconnected from. I think being part of any kind of scene is ultimately just, for lack of a better term, counterproductive because, and I have friends that I met through Boston comedy, and a lot of people I like. Well, this idea where you try to fit in starts to become such a weight on your shoulders when you start to realize that a lot of these people suck ass. Like, not at comedy, not at their job, they just suck, and there's no reason you have to be with them. This idea that the entire community of comedians is going to see things as one is absurd. So, I'm not big on going to like the cookouts and doing basically the extracurricular activities. But, at the same time, it's good that it's there. I just don't want anyone to feel like it's an obligation. Because I've heard from tons of young comics, like, oh, like so-and-so who books this random bar show doesn't like me. And it's like, that's one person not laughing. The only people you have to worry about are in the audience. And sadly, there are politics that get you in front of the audiences and so forth. But like, just in general, man, I fucking hate trying to play capture the flag with 14 other comedians. I'll see you at the show, That's just me.
Yeah, I've never been invited to a capture the flag outing.
They do everything. I've had comedians cancel shows to go to a comedian activity that night. I'm like, what are you doing? But
that's dumb. We're all gonna go see they always seem to be announcing like we're all gonna go see the movie at AMC Lowe's Common in 15 minutes. I'm like, how the heck do you get people? You got 15? Why do you? This is not a very well organized event.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I'll segue to this, and then we're getting to the top of the hour, and I'll close out the social media now with the shutdown. It's kind of becoming a drag on a lot of people's life. Kind of becoming a drag on my life. I know you hate Facebook very much.
Oh yeah.
And you have some success on Twitter. Both of those, they're just sucking me in now because I can't do any. So I gotta figure out a way to. I'm never gonna be able to write sketches and fucking get a pilot done if I can't completely unplug from this thing, which is now like my only form of socialization.
Yeah,
It's sick,
I know.
Really.
It's God, it is such a double-edged sword. Because Facebook, I fucking the whole thing is built. Like, if this was just a platform where people spoke to each other, great. Perfect. Facebook is specifically built to piss you off. It's specifically built to keep you in a bubble, whether that be all other comedians. I always say it feels like an open mic because it is just a bunch of other comics expressing opinions about other comics, and one person posts this, and then the other person passive-aggressively posts another thing. And so it's just uninteresting to me. But my reach on that website has become very good from having it for many years. Twitter, same deal, but on a massive scale. Instagram is, I think, a little bit better, and you're looking more at like pictures and videos than you are words. So maybe that's a little different. But, I mean, dude, some guy... there's like a big like meme aggregator that put up one of my tweets yesterday. It was about gaining weight and calling it the Quarantine 15.
I saw that one.
Yeah.
Is it on Insta or on Facebook?
It was on Insta. This guy has like 2 million followers. He put it up, which is great. The guy's super nice. He's put up a couple of nice things. And there's people in the comments who were just like, there was one woman and she has a blue check. So she's got a smooth brain, and she was like,
I swear they were handing out blue checks on Jeffrey Epstein's plane. Like, I don't know how the fuck people are getting these.
For real. But anyway, so she's like, I'm a weight loss doctor, and I don't think this is funny. And I was like, well, yeah, no shit, you're a weight loss doctor. Like, this is the... we don't think you're not my target audience for this. It's so narcissistic to be like, the one thing that I am devoted to is the one thing that everyone shouldn't joke about.
Yeah, it's also like, did you think that a weight loss doctor is going to be like, I endorse it?
Yeah,
like,
dude, exactly.
Did she really think that was your goal here? She's like, shut it down. I this is my expert. That's funny. I personally believe Twitter is the best social media platform. My Twitter, I only have like 100 and something followers. I only started using it consistently a few months ago. But I noticed that Facebook and Instagram act like they have this moral responsibility when, Instagram is really just elevating people who fit their lifestyle brand to a certain extent. You know, travel girl, bikini, beach, that's like always going to be more elevated in the algorithm for, probably deliberately. And then Facebook, on the other hand, is trying to show you people that will make you mad so that you'll engage with them because the engagement is better for them, and they've been caught doing that. Whereas Twitter, their feed algorithm is largely meritocracy based, and they'll show you people that you follow that like you can legitimately be friends with someone on Facebook and not see their posts. That doesn't really happen as much on Twitter. So there's that. There's also, so I guess the shadow ban aspect is less. And then also on Twitter, you have, it's not pretending that it's some sort of journalistic, stride. Like they banned Alex Jones and Milo and some people they had to ban. But at the end of the day, I can see a funny joke from Tim Dillon, and I can see some tits, and then Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Like I can have those 3 tweets in a row. They're really just letting everything fly on there, and I think that is what makes them the best.
Twitter is the best platform. You're correct. Instagram and Facebook, kind of the same because fucking, Facebook owns both of them. Instagram feels nicer sometimes, but Twitter is interesting because Jack Jack has done more than DMT, man. He's out in the woods doing ayahuasca and eating blue cactus and shit. Yeah, and so he has a philosophy on Twitter that you just kind of got to let it ride, which I think is a lot better than
and he doesn't want, like, that's also, people try to act like he is this, like, corrupt piece of shit when he banned Alex Jones. He's like, my hands are tied. What do you...
Yeah, Alex Jones became it's such a thing where everyone wants to push for this idea that anyone is allowed on this website to post whatever they want. But after a while, it's like, dude, this is just irresponsible of you, I think that the solution to him, if it's my website right now, then I start posting, or I start making distinctions between what is conspiracy, so, what is backed up by documentation, what is entirely fictional, and what is a fact. Because Alex Jones spits out a lot of shit, and he talks so quickly that you're not able to fact check him on a lot of things. Maybe 20% of what he says is actually accurate. He makes big extrapolations off, government documents from, the 50s and shit. But some of it is true. If you were able to distinguish between what is being presented as a lie and what is propaganda and what is not, then you could maybe manage to get this guy an account. But the fact that he is constantly pushing dangerous ideas convincingly on your platform, and you still own the platform, eventually you're going to go, well, no, fuck this. I'm going to ban you.
Yeah. Some of them are just so left field. Like, he had to apologize for publicly stating that Chobani yogurt was tied to the pedophile ring. Like, it's just like, where the fuck does this even come from? Chobani yogurt?
My favorite is he was in court, I think a child custody thing, something with his wife, and he said that he couldn't recall a certain memory.
His kids' birthdays, and he ate the bowl of chili. I remember that.
He had a big bowl of chili, which of course we all know.
That's
short-term memory
That's
loss.
a thing. That's now a running gag with me and my my non-comedy friends. Is my buddy will just he'll send to the group text. He'll be like, I don't think I'm going to get any work done this afternoon. I just had a big bowl of chili. Because it's just such a big bowl.
Oh, that's so
and
good.
yeah. All right. Well, are you doing anything else in Are you trying to work on any television writing, or is that not your forte? Sketch writing, anything like that?
I do all that shit. So I have.
You do that on your own?
Yeah, I have. I actually, it's kind of a shame I got contacted to do sort of like one of those informative comedy news shows right before the quarantine happened, and so that is all on pause for the.
This was like a big one.
What's that?
This was like a network one.
I literally don't know which one it was. So someone reached out to me. They said it's
okay.
for one of these. We haven't done the contracts yet, but. Write some stuff up, and he was like, it's probably going to be about coronavirus, and I was like, yeah, I figured, and then we both slowly went back and forth and figured out, okay, this is going to be a bit, but I have stuff in the tank. I have a sketch packet I keep and I update. I have screenplays I've written. I basically just try to be ready with a little vault of stuff, and then I'm also working on the actual news, which I've been doing since the beginning of the year, and it is essentially just the top news stories presented to you by comedians. So
is it, and it's you and Mike Bain, or you cycle this out?
Yeah, no,
it's you and Mike Bain are the permanent people?
Yeah, it was just me. Mike Bain is definitely the co-host now. CJ Brown has been on the past couple episodes. I kind of just roll with whatever's good. So we've had a good chemistry last 4 or 5 episodes, and we've been riding with that. And so we started a Facebook group where we're having little debates. You've been in there, so that's been very fun.
Yeah. I think you added me, and I immediately just came off with like the first 4 thoughts that were on my mind that I hadn't expressed on any medium yet.
That's fine. It's to have fun.
Like, yeah, why not?
It's to have fun.
Yeah.
The whole nature of the thing is like the actual news. I called it that because I wanted people to speak honestly, because we live in this world now where the news will distort something, and then the story comes back to you. And for some reason, people feel this weird obligation to distort with the media. We ride these narratives with them because it either makes us feel safe or we don't know anything else. But, I just wanted to have something where we were freely talking about what's happening right now, which is, the most insanely political time on top of just the most insane time in probably this century of America. So, it's nice in a sense that we have this available to us right now. If coronavirus had hit 20 years ago.
Yeah, that's something I keep bringing up, is we've been able to have a pandemic in theory since like the 70s when, you could get on a plane and go to China and vice versa in Europe and anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
And thankfully we just never had that supports the bioweapon theory, kind of. When you put it like that.
A little bit. I mean, it would be.
That's not, it's not concrete evidence.
Yeah, it would be a convenient time to never give us our freedom back, but we'll see how that all rolls out, I guess.
Yeah. So that's really, I mean, one thing I always appreciate about you back in the age before stand-up was canceled is that you could take something that was very recent and then deliver it on stage with the full polish of, a well-thought-out bit that would, take someone like me quite a while to get the kinks out.
Thank you, man. I really worked on that a lot, so I appreciate you saying
I'm glad you're trying to get this sort of news panel format out, because I think that's something that you were already specifically tailors to your strengths.
Yeah, thank you, man. Yeah, I'm trying to, basically take what I was doing with stand-up, so you pick something that people might even still be nervous about, or is at least fresh in their minds, and you make jokes about it, and it's refreshing, and it's a release of tension for everyone, and so I'm going to try to do that with my show. It's been a podcast. The first webisode, I hate that term, but the first video episode is going to be...
I haven't heard that since 2007 either. Webisodes and song parodies coming back from the mid-aughts.
But yeah, so the first one we're going to do is going to be this Friday at 10 on the Comedy Studios streaming service.
Yeah, I saw that, so I'll definitely tune in.
Yeah, man.
So you can plug, is the website thecomedystudio.com? Is that where people go to listen to this Friday at 10?
Yes, and so they're going to have a show before that. They're going to have a bunch of funny stuff on, and I'm sure you can reach all that through their social media as well. So just find the Comedy Studio on Facebook and Instagram and so forth.
Maybe give some money to their GoFundMe also. Anyone who has money, there's a lot of people struggling. I believe their GoFundMe is largely, help keep them in business and also take care of the wait staff.
Yeah, big time. And their streaming service is also going to be built in with a donation button. So we're just doing donations. I think that's the best way for,
awesome.
Enough people to see it and so forth. So, they're just rolling with that. And so the service is free and you can donate, and that'll be... I think a wonderful thing.
That's really cool. Yeah, awesome. You got the actual news, which people can find on.
Yes, that's on. It's on. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Anytime,
right.
any place you're going to find podcasts, it'll be there weekly.
That is the actual news, folks. And we're actually at 1:20 now, so I think I got to cut at the cord. But thank you so much for calling in, man. I had a great time talking to you. And
absolutely,
this is
man. And
much better than the first episode that I had to delete. So,
well, not bad, man. Anytime. And
right.
Thanks for listening. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram under Jam Daddy. And thanks again, man.
All right, that's been Alex Giampapa, folks. This has been Somebody's Listening podcast. We'll see you next time.
Peace.
Bye-bye. Later.